whole life faith for so long. Say nobody think now. Hey, I'm another bow. No way. Never do it already. Never do it again. No way. Nobody think now. Another bow. Hey. Blessed be the man that are persecuted for righteousness' sake. And I want you to know his reward shall be great. Many men vow, cause them lose their faith. Hear them say, they couldn't stand the pressure, they couldn't carry the weight. But some men still survive without giving in to evil. Oh gosh, and I'll never be a friend of the devil. See, after I've been fighting against injustice for so long, hey, say nobody think now. Say I'm a go bow. Hey, after I've been holding strong on my faith for so long,
not going to bow.
Say nobody think now. Say I'm a go bow. No way. Nah bow, no girl, nah bow. Nah bow. Got to stand strong, y'all. Oh God, tell them. Nah bow, no girl, nah bow, no girl, nah bow, bow. I've got to stand strong. Oh yeah. See, after I've been fighting against your system for so long, hey, say nobody think now. Say I'm another bow. Hey, after I've been resisting your temptations for so long, say nobody think now. Say I'm another bow. Hey, although you put me under pressure.
All right, shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone. Welcome to another session of, let me get this, unzipping things. Welcome to another live session of this kingdom, I guess I can call it Kingdom Concepts. Spell it with a K. Yeah, Kingdom Concepts. Try to do everything that's related to the kingdom. Just go on the sideline. No, hold up. It's over here. Yes, it ain't like the. There we have it. Okay. Okay. All right. Just making a few adjustments here. And without further ado, the name of the message today is Uncommon Valor. As you can see, I think I wrote it down. And I wanted to bring back Sugar Minot once again. He's one of my favorite reggae artists. I like the way he sing. I like the way he deliver his message. And that particular message was entitled Nah Bow. That's N-A-H-B-O-W, Nah, which means not. We're not going to bow. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We're not bowing before the kingdom, the king. So I wanted to do a brief message today. And it's getting kind of difficult for me. I don't know about anyone else, but it's getting kind of difficult for me to bring certain messages. I guess something is about to occur. I used to be able to just fluently bring a message, but now they becoming less and less. The Father, the way he download these messages is not the way he did in the past. And so I'm not complaining. I thank the Father for what he has done. But nonetheless, we have a short word for you today. And like I said, it's mentioned in the comment, in the what's that? When you write it, the title, Uncommon Valor. This valor, this bravery, and this what you may call this fearlessness, what you may call of the children of light, the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites. It's uncommon. It's it's nothing normal. It's not normal, and it is like it's not. How can I put it? It's totally different from anything that you have witnessed in the earth because of all the things that we've been through, all the adversities, being met with all kinds of opposition, all kinds of spiritual force. We as a people being challenged at every hand, always getting the target. We always a target. People always feel a certain kind of way when they see us. They want to be like us, but then they want what we have, but they want to get rid of us. You can just look in the music world. We always had to fight our position to just express ourselves musically. You know, when Little Richard and the what's his name, Lonely Teardrops. I can't think of Jackie Wilson, Little Richard, Jackie Wilson, Chuck Berry. You had these entertainers putting out music, and then they had to get someone like Elvis to mimic. You had Chuck Berry that just broke the whole industry of music. He broke it. He smashed it. He took it by the throat and made it his own. Later on, you had the Beach Boys playing his style. Chuck Berry came up with the sound, that guitar riff. You listen to Surfing USA, and everybody goes surfing across the USA. They always had someone. Michael Jackson came on the scene. The Jackson 5, Big Froze, like what he got. He got it all, you know, the Hebrew style that we've worn in time past. But if he pick it out, you know, it'd be a big fro. And then you had brothers, 5 brothers, you know, performing. Then you had the Osmond brothers that started out as like a doo-wop. But once they noticed the Jackson 5, you know what they did? They reinvented and repackaged the Osmond brothers and tried to present them like a soul group, like as an alternative to the Jackson 5 to make money. I had to work with him every day, and we listened to various stations on the satellite Sirius. And every once in a while, where he play a lot of reggae, and every once in a while, this group called UB40 we get on, and they were on alternative. They were the highest earning reggae group in the early 90s. Even though reggae is a Hebrew based music, this UB40 was Gentiles out of the UK. They rose to the top. They always have someone. I remember Duke Ellington and all the musical creations that he put out there, that he published. Dave Brubeck just came with one song, Take 5. It's a good song. And he beat Duke Ellington out in categories that Duke Ellington been putting in work since the 20s. Take 5 came out in the 60s, I believe. Duke Ellington had a lot of work in his catalog. And this guy come up with one hit and just beat Duke Ellington out. It's the same thing. Even today, most of you thinking that's old stuff. You see Justin Timberlake, he rolls up to be the R&B king almost, just like Elvis. Bruno Mars, which took, not taken away from him, but he took his style from James Brown, took his style from various artists, Prince, and now he is looked up on as, and he not taking away anything away from him, but I'm just merely stating that every time Hebrew, every time he make an impact, every time he make a play, there's always something to come and push him off his square. And I'm not talking about Freemasonry. It's just a form of speech that I'm just using to express what's on my mind. Every time a Hebrew tried to make the impact on the world stage, they always are confronted by some person, some group, some corporation. It's all in the whole concerted effort that the principalities have launched against the Father's children. But guess what? Through all of that, we're being made. We are being built into a soldier, and we're being built into individuals that will be used of the Father, that no other people, no other group, no other ethnicity can defeat through the power of the Most High. This is why we find ourselves going through these various changes that we are experiencing. It's the Father behind it. And he's not only making us mighty men of valor, we are a special kind of valor, a valor that the whole world will have to recognize and acknowledge. And that's what I want to talk about today, because, you know, this walk ain't for the weak, it ain't for the faint of heart. It ain't for those that can't endure. It's not for those that can't take a punch. They got a glass jaw, spiritually speaking. Every time a problem or every time a situation arises, they out for the count. This walk ain't for those type of people. This walk, the Father has commissioned his elect to be his beacon of light in the earth. And these individuals that are willing to endure, they would take all kinds of blows from everything, from everyone, from cultures all around. But guess what? The person that's going through that, they will understand that it's the Father that's developing. Because you see, many people think it's some type of counter or appeasement that's going on with the Black Lives Matter. And we understand Black Lives Matter got a lot of, lesbian, homosexual agenda embedded in it. But guess what? Father, we can't forget, the Father is still bringing his purpose, and he's bringing his plan, and he bringing what he initiated from the foundation, before the foundation of the world. He's bringing that into fruition, and he's establishing it in the earth. And he's using a people. These people are uncommon. And so this is a message of encouragement, to encourage those that's walking with the Father. You are the individual of uncommon valor. the bravery and the fearlessness that you have, it's been produced and developed through principalities, through powers, through spiritual wickedness in high places, through the governments of this world, and through individual groups. I had someone in the family that sent out some type of notification that some Klan members was planning on taking individuals, stringing them up, and start and intensify in their lynchings. But you know what? We are people that the Father has ordained, that the Father has backed. And the Father is not common. And so our backing is uncommon. There is nothing that these people can do to stop what the Father has ordained. I said it many times before. There is nothing they can do. There is nothing that they trying to instill fear, but they the scared ones. What else you got new? So what? You've been doing that for over 100 years. Why all of a sudden should we be scared now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What the hell we should be scared? Okay, you're gonna lynch. You got a neck too, clown. I'm speaking as an individual that the Father has made into a soldier with uncommon valor. You think they just got the upper hand? You gonna lynch somebody? You're gonna string them up like you don't have a neck. You're gonna string them up like you don't have limbs. This is why the Father put in the word an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And the Father is bringing all these things back. We're not staying in Christianity. I was looking at this video of a church. It's empty, nice church here in St. Louis. And they had a few people in there instead of them coming together and strategizing on what the next move should be to impact this generation with their mindset. They're in there jumping around, hopping around, dancing around like a bunch of field hands and a bunch of slaves. Here in 2020, after the coronavirus, the church is empty. They got masks on. So the Father has infiltrated that institution. I call it institution of failure. They have failed the people. I know it hurts, but men and women of uncommon valor, they into standing for truth. Remember the message, embracing truth?
Mm-hmm.
They stand for truth. You got to start telling the truth. No more lies. No more buttering individuals up. No more. The Father, he has moved into time and space to where his truth, hardcore truth, will be the only solution to everything that's going on in the world today. And so they buck dancing, looking like field hands and looking like a bunch of, I mean, if you look at it, many of you know what I'm talking about. I ain't got to say the church. I don't have to say the pastor. I don't have to get that raw. But what I'm saying is that is not, that type of behavior will not lead us into the Father's promises. And that's going to be done away with. It's partially done away with now. And the first wave will intensify even more. There won't be a second wave of coronavirus. We ain't done with the first wave. It just, the Father just pulled back a little bit to see what the people, to allow the people a chance, not to see, but to allow the people a chance to make some adjustment with their lives. And then the Father going to bring it back a little bit more intense. But in the midst of that, all this stuff going on, the Father's building up individuals that would stand for him, individuals that will walk, individuals that will speak truth to power, speak truth to their neighbors, not afraid to tell men and women the truth about their lives and about their the disposition and the situation that we're in. And so that's who we are. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because we must understand, brothers and sisters, that we I was looking at this discussion that they had online, this church, and they was trying to figure out a way how to reach the people. And they don't know that they say there are young people out in the streets. This is another generation. This is a different generation. You can't reach the generation, with your good time Jesus. Your good time Jesus have played it's played out. It ran its course. And so that's what I just want to just deal with that a little bit today. And I'm going to try not to be too long-winded. And when you talk about uncommon valor, we got many examples that's in scripture. We got Abraham. People talk about Abraham, and they talk about how he believed the Father, and the Father credited his belief as righteousness. They talk about how Abraham, he took his son Isaac, and the father to sacrifice his son to the Father, and at the last minute, the Father stopped him and provided a ram in the bush. But people don't talk about how Abraham. I think I'm the only one that I know in our circle. I know people in other groups talk about it, but in our circle of influence, I think that there's not many that talk about how Abraham tore up his father's idols, how Abraham challenged the status quo of his day. That was valor that was totally uncommon. They don't talk about how these kings was threatened by Abraham's presence and came in the region where Abraham and his nephew Lot resided, and pulled Lot out of that region and took the possessions, and took Lot, his wife, his possession, and that whole region back to their kingdom. They don't talk about how Abraham girded up and saddled up and put his gear on and went to that region where these kings were, and slaughtered the people and recovered his possession and brought Lot back. They don't talk about that. But that is an example of an individual with uncommon valor when they connected to the Father. See the things that we've been through, the Jim Crow, the chattel slavery, the Jim Crow that happened all the way to the 60s. All the stuff they doing today with it, and even the Black Lives Matter, all that coupled with our knowledge of the Father and who he is to us, that will produce and develop something that the world and the principalities can even conquer. That's what I'm talking about, that uncommon. And it's going to be narrowed down to those that truly love and follow the Father. So they don't talk about, you talk about Abraham. He was a man of uncommon valor. You talk about Moses. People think Moses, because he went up on the mountain and he saw the burning bush. But Moses, he was a person of war. They don't talk of that. They know, everybody know that Moses put the beat down. He put the stump down on another Egyptian and killed that Egyptian with his bare hands. Moses was a man of Yah. He was a man of uncommon valor. What about Joshua? Joshua didn't play either. Joshua, you know what? Let us look at that for for a second. Let's turn there. And, because the things that we have gone through, it's been dire. We've been through, and we going through dire situations, but I don't want none of our brothers and sisters to become fearful in their walk with the Most High. My goal is to convey to you, brothers and sisters, how important it is to keep the faith and let the Father minister to you. Let our brother and Messiah be our beacon of hope. He didn't fear no man. There was no punk in him at all. He dealt with everything that came his way. Now, there was time that he vamped. Sometimes you may have to exit stage left. When he said before Abraham was, I am, they got so mad they picked up stones and they looked around. He was gone. Where did he go? Here he is. You saying before Abraham was, I am. Look at right then and there. He proved that he was the I am. Mm-hmm. But they still saw, but he didn't fear. He stayed in the region. You know what I'm saying? And what we must understand, we have gone through as a people, and some of us have met fatality in our journeys. Because what we are doing, we are perpetrating and we are taking what they call the gospel. They call it the gospel, but the Hebrew word for gospel is besorah. And besorah is like, I don't know if you remember, I know some of you have studied the Pony Express in the 1800s, 1860, I believe. The Pony Express was initiated. The Pony Express went from this region, St. Louis. I think that's why some of us are so, some of us in St. Louis, St. Louis is known for, we the ones that started all this protesting in the way it's done now. Mm-hmm. It started here after Mike Brown. It started right here. St. Louisans, quote unquote St. Louisans, they have a certain type of spirit of fighting spirit that is totally different from other places around the world. We saw these protests up in New York, and people from St. Louis was like, come on, y'all, look how they acted up there, all scared. The United States learned a lot from the people here in St. Louis and how they get down. Because St. Louis, it was the murder capital of the United States at one time. St. Louis is not a joke. But the Pony Express, it started from this region. It went in here. That's why this is the gateway to the West. Mm-hmm. They needed to get information and mail. Rich people would buy stuff and wanted people on the other side of the United States to receive it. And so they hired the Pony Express. They would hire the Pony Express, but the Pony Express was established to get mail and goods and information from the Midwest all the way out to the rest. And the first station was in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is north of here. And they would get some of the young, brave individual, and there were a lot of black folks that was hired to ride the Pony Express, a lot of Hebrews. We've been in every movement known to man since kingdoms have been established. We've been right there. I'm talking about all the way back to Egypt. I'm talking about all the way back to Babylon, the first Babylon with Nimrod, all the way to Egypt, to Assyria, to Greece, to Persia, to Rome. When Islam, when the Arabs came in with their philosophy, the Hebrews been right there all along. What do you think the Father was doing? He was developing his people, and they were developing a valor that is uncommon to all the nations around the world. They understand that. We just don't. But the Pony Express, let me finish, because we need to establish what the word gospel really means God spell. A spell by God on the people. That's what that word means. See, when you start dissecting, and I use it too, I did a message called This Gospel. And you have to dissect the language of our enemies, because our enemies have taught us lies. Because their fathers taught them lies, as it says in Jeremiah 16 and 16. In 16:19, I believe it's 16:19, where they say that our fathers inherit lies. We want to come to you. What you think going to happen? They're going to come to us because they will see that through the corridors of time and through all of the adversity that happened, people in this country, they already doing it now. Yeah, you have a lot of lesbians and, homosexuals that's trying to push the Black Lives Matter. They trying to push the plight of the Black experience to gain momentum. You understand what I'm saying?
Hallelujah.
And so what we must understand is this is the Father's doing. And we're going to get into a few scriptures. And I don't want to, this is already 30 minutes. My goodness. I'm long-winded when I be talking, man. I didn't think I was talking this long. But the gospel, what we were taught, was the good news of Jesus Christ, death, burial, resurrection. But they stopped right there and hope for me and good. No. How you going to leave out his people? How you going to leave out the covenant people? The covenant people cannot be left out, because the Father said this is a perpetual covenant. It's an ongoing covenant. This covenant is an everlasting covenant. It will never end. The covenant that he made with us in Exodus, the 19th chapter, it's still active today. And the Father is still fulfilling his promise in that covenant through us today. This is why I call this message an uncommon valor. There was a movie back in 1983 called An Uncommon Valor, where it had a group of men, Gene Hackman, a group, and Patrick Swayze, how they went back to Vietnam to rescue men that was missing in action. And they went through everything that the enemy set up, all kinds of traps, all kinds of field landmines, and all kinds of stuff. They went through it and they rescued these people. Well, I'm telling you, this is who we are. We're not just per se rescuing people, but we are carrying a message that the Father gave us when he created man and when he initiated his plan and his promise to us in Exodus, the 19th chapter. And so I'm just giving you a breakdown of the word they call gospel. Is really a Hebrew word that means to convey news, whether it's good or not. They say the good news because they wanted everything good. But in ancient times, when the Hebrews conveyed a message, whether it's good or bad, it was conveyed. And that's what the Father